little bit about my background. I was born here in Camden, Arkansas. Brought up, my grandparents on my mom's side were the Dunhams. They had a Dunham's apple orchard, I believe, and they told us they lost it during the Depression. And I was brought up a little while over on Persimmon Street. My mom married, after my dad died when I was 3, she married another gentleman named Harmony, had Harmon Refrigeration. Moved over to Springdale when I was 7. Stayed there and eventually was the first graduating class of Shiloh. I graduated from Shiloh in '83. Didn't have enough money to get an education. Went into the military. They wanted me to be a food service specialist. Y'all know what that is, right? You know what that is? It's a cook. Yeah, peeled potatoes. Appreciate that. Just say a cook. It's a little better. I mean, but you're right. Peeled potatoes, be a cook, you know. And so they said, well, they gave me a bunch of tests, and they said, they told me, they said, do you want to learn Arabic? I said, no, not really. I don't want to go. They're always fighting over there about something. And I said, how about Spanish? And they said, no, we don't have a need for that right now. And then I asked them, I said, well, what about, they asked me, they said, what about Russian? Would you like to learn Russian? Well, I said, yeah, that sounds kind of neat. So I learned Russian and was fluent in that and wound up going to the Defense Language Institute in Monterey, California, and then went to Goodfellow Air Force Base in San Angelo, Texas. I was in the Army. And after that, I proceeded after critical thinking and problem-solving analysis and encryption analysis and all these different classes and satellite analysis. I went to the National Security Agency in Fort Meade, Maryland, had the highest clearance that you could possibly get with our government, worked under President Ronald Reagan during the ending of the Cold War, and got to work that. That was a lot of fun, and I got to work with Bush Sr., well, not with him, but under him as a president, and then Bill Clinton, and then just really had a good time. My grandmother, Holt, became ill, and she had to go to the nursing home, and we felt like it was our responsibility, since I was her last surviving relative, to get out and take care of my grandmother. And I didn't want to get out. I had a great tour there. I tried to get Grandma to come up there and live with us in Maryland, in D.C., Fort Meade, Maryland, and my grandmother wouldn't have any part of it. She wanted to stay here, and she goes, I've lived my whole life here. Well, she came down from Missouri, but with my grandfather, and she goes, I want to die here. And so we used that as a hardship to get out and take care of my grandmother. And I was a chaplain and a counselor helping children make decisions, right decisions at a place called Piney Ridge, which is a juvenile sex offender facility. And it was upon that time that I felt the call to run for office in 2000. And then in 2002, they opened up a new Senate district, which was basically almost all my old House district. And we prayed about it and felt like we were supposed to run for state Senate. We ran for state Senate. And then 2004, nobody wanted to challenge Blanche Lincoln. She had an approval rating like BB does now, and she had like $6.5 million, and nobody thought we could win. And we started out with like 12% percentage points and went up to 44. And I tell you, it's hard to do with $106,000 when she's spending about $6.4 million. And nobody thought that we could win the race. And I still believe with all my heart that if we would have had the money, we would have won, because all we had to do was pound her on her issues. We knew she had a horrible record. But I'm going to tell you, folks, and I'm not trying to say this to be mean to anybody, but unless we the people start taking ownership of this country, even $5, even $50, if each person, we had 458,000 plus voters that voted for us in 2004. If each person would have just given $5, that was 2.29 million. We would have had more than enough to, I mean, Arkansas is not a real big media market state. We would have creamed her. I mean, there's no question we would have. But the fact is that we have a tendency to believe the falsehoods of the liberal media, or we hear what people saying, oh, he doesn't have a chance. And you all know better than that after Massachusetts with Scott Brown, 32 points in a month, right? It's possible, but first we have to believe. See, I want to tell you, I did everything I could to win that race, but it wasn't up to me. And I'm not trying to be mean. Just like one of the founding fathers said, my dear sir, I would not hurt thee for the world, but thou art standing where I'm about to shoot. I can do everything I can do, but unless you all take ownership and you all get out and beat the bushes and you all help raise money, and unless you get excited about somebody that's going to stand up for your rights at government, I'm going to give John Brummett so much stuff to write about. That's okay. I can handle it. People ask me when I got into politics, they said, Jim, we think you put on a little weight. And I said, no, I haven't. I've just developed a thicker skin. So we really have to have your support. We have to have your help. And I'll take any questions that you have, and thank you all for being here.